Hello, everybody, and welcome to my webinar on resistance starch. And thank you for joining the live webinar. And you might be watching this live, or you might be watching it as a replay right now on YouTube. Either way, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would appreciate a quick click to subscribe and click on the little notification bell. I appreciate it. Doesn't cost anything, but it really helps me to keep growing the YouTube channel, which is under Plantimus. Plant, P-L-A-N-T, then E-M-U-S for music, because I'm known as the plant-powered pianist. So that's why I combine plant-based eating and cooking with music. That's why the name. So the topic for today is something that you may have heard of or you may not have heard of, and it's called resistant starch. Okay. Well, we're going to learn how to use this to our advantage without missing the big picture, because sometimes it's easy to believe that there is something truly magical, and while we miss the big picture. So um, I am a Starch Solution certified coach, and I am a proud McDougall'er. Okay, this is how I started my journey with the Starch Solution book, um, and you may know this, but Dr. McDougall was my mentor and my dear friend. We did hundreds of webinars together. I was able to visit his home and do webinars from there. I attended the Hawaii trip. We did webinars from there. And so I am a whole food, plant-based follower and a starch-centered, teacher as well. So we will keep that in mind as we keep going, because this talk is not about the latest trend diet trick. And this talk is not about shortcuts or hacks. Okay, so it's about understanding how food works so that we can make informed decisions while staying grounded in what we know that truly works. Of course, what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another 100% of the times. So we have to keep that in mind. So today we will explore what resistant starch is, because I got a lot of people asking me what I think and what it can do, and what it cannot do, and how we could use it, um, to our advantage. So it is a diet based on whole, unprocessed starches, fruits, and vegetables. That's where the real magic lies. Okay, so what is resistant starch? Let's first clarify that, and then we can move on. Resistant starch is a type of carbohydrate that resists digestion. Okay, so that's why it's called resistant starch. But it resists digestion in the small intestine, and it ferments in the large intestine, and it acts like a soluble fiber. So there are different types of resistant starch, but the one that I'm going to talk about today is called retrograde resistant starch, the kind that forms when cooked starches like potatoes or rice are cooled for several hours, 12, 14, 24 hours. So yes, if you cook your rice or your potatoes and then chill them in the refrigerator for 12 to 24 hours, some of the starch will convert into resistant starch, not all of it. And that's a real physiological process. But here is the key: the amount that changes is very small. Okay. The difference in calories or blood sugar effect is minimal for someone who is already eating a low fat, high fiber, whole food, plant based diet. Now, someone who is not eating that, is going to get perhaps a bigger effect. But let me say this again, it's real. Resistant starch is real. It's not a game changer if you're already eating this way. That's something to understand. So I'm going to name somebody that I respect and admire because I got to know him, pretty well with Dr. McDougall and Dr. Lyle doing so many, programs live and online. And that is Jeff Novick, who is a registered dietitian, and he is brilliant. So I'm going to name him because he really presents data-based breakdown of this topic. He posts in McDougall forums, maybe on his website. He doesn't really like to do webinars. That's why we've never been able to do a webinar with him. But I want to summarize what he said because it's important to keep perspective. So he says that if you cool potatoes or rice, the resistant starch may increase about 10%. Okay, it's not precisely 10%, but it's in that area. But that's the difference. That's a small difference. That's the difference between maybe 20 grams or 22 grams of resistant starch in a large amount of food, like 4 pounds of food. So how many calories will that reduce when they're absorbed in our body? Very little, like 4, 6, maybe 10 calories less. So that's it. You're not going to, not absorb 400 calories. There's not going to be a huge metabolism shift. It's not a magic wand. But this is what Jeff Novick says. We should focus on overall dietary patterns, okay? Not an isolated mechanism here and there. So I completely agree. So why are we talking about resistant starch at all? Well, here is where I want to be fair and a little bit curious. Even if the calorie savings are minimal, again, depending on one person to another, but it's sort of minimal. Resistant starch does have benefits. So this is what I want you to know now. This is why I've started uh, eating a little bit more of the resistant starch because it feeds good bacteria. It actually, resistant starch has a prebiotic effect in our bodies. We want to have really good gut bacteria. I heard an amazing lecture on gut bacteria just recently when I went to the National Health Association in Ohio. Oh my goodness, that was amazing. All of the parts of our bodies that good gut bacteria, does. Gut bacteria is truly connected to our brain and to many parts of our body. So it is important to feed our good gut bacteria. And resistant starch can do that. So more than losing weight or absorbing less calories or things like that, I think that this is a big good effect. It also, number two, resistant starch, it may help some people with digestive regularity. Some people suffer from constipation and other digestive issues. Well, resistant starch may help with that. And some people report that it helps them. Others also report, and I have to confess that I feel this effect. Number three is I have better satiety. I mean, I feel a little less hungry when I eat cooled starches. This is anecdotal, it's not written anywhere in a research paper. It's just something that some people report. So those are three really good reasons. Um, Good feeding the good bacteria in our guts. Number two, uh, improving digestive system. And number three, some people report better satiety, feeling a little less hungry. Okay, so those are real benefits. So my personal view in this is that if you enjoy cold rice in your salad, for example, because you can put cold rice in a salad, or if you enjoyed chilled potatoes in a veggie bowl, go for it. It's a great way to eat starches. If you're curious to experiment and see if it helps you feel fuller, that's okay too. Try it and and then send me an email. Let me know how you feel. But don't obsess. Don't stress. Remember, this is just a small tweak. And those of us who have been eating this way for a long period of time, we are constantly finding little tweaks here and there um, to just make this way of eating better and better for us. So, but the pillar of all is the starch solution, is the book that Dr. McDougall wrote, which I just admire and love that book. So, let's remember what really moves that needle or the numbers in the scale. This is what we need to keep in mind so that we don't lose track of the real issue. Eating unprocessed starches like potatoes, sweet potatoes, brown rice, corn, beans, oats. Eating unprocessed, meaning eating whole foods, is something that can really make a difference in your weight management. Filling half of your plate with colorful vegetables that are non-starchy can also make a difference. Okay, that's the maximum weight loss that Dr. McDougall wrote about, the book. Adding fruit for natural sweetness and fiber instead of adding processed sugars can also help. Staying away from oils, which is not a whole food, refined flours, which is not a whole food, animal products, and processed junk food is what's going to help you lose weight. And then eating simply and consistently will help you. So the real magic is what I just mentioned. I hope that that you leave this webinar with a clearer view of resistant starch. Yes, resistant starch is real. Yes, it may offer some benefits, and I just mentioned three. And but the foundation of health is not to, from now on, eat only cold potatoes or cold rice. Okay, that's not the real foundation. The real foundation is eat plants, eat whole foods. That's what I always stress. Eat whole foods. Keep it simple and stick with it. So what I want to do now is give you a step-by-step approach for creating resistant starch. So first of all, you're going to cook the starch fully cooked. You're going to cook your brown rice or your brown basmati rice, which is one of my favorites. You're going to cook your potatoes or sweet potatoes. You're going to cook your pasta or other starches until fully done, not undercooked. Then what you're going to do is you're going to cool them completely in the refrigerator. Okay, at least 12 hours, or the resistant starch is not gonna be able to develop. The optimal hour, I mean, the optimal time is anywhere from 12 to 24 hours. During this time, resistant starch forms as the starch molecules realign in a way that they resist digestion. Okay, so you can eat cold, like a potato salad. I love potato salad, or like a rice salad. You can also reheat it. So even when you reheat these potatoes or rice or pasta, even when you reheat it, it stays resistant as long as you don't overheat or as long as you don't fry it. So all of these types of pasta, of starches, potatoes, sweet potatoes, rice, legumes, pasta, they take anywhere from 12 to 24 hours to develop the resistant starch. The longer it stays chilled, up to 2 days, maybe three, the more resistant starch may develop. But don't think that if you leave it there for 5 days, it's gonna. You have to keep food safety, so no more than 3 days. Okay. So, what are some of the benefits of resistant starch? Well, uh, blood sugar control. Resistant starch slows glucose absorption. Okay. Uh, it improves insulin sensitivity over time in some studies. Again, it's not a magic bullet. Um, Cold starches tend to digest more slowly in general. And so, because they digest more slowly, they usually won't spike blood sugar as sharply as hot starches. And there is a really good and simple way to test this. You can test your blood sugar after you eat hot starches and then after cold and see what happens. Okay, so it may help with blood sugar control. Resistant starch definitely helps with gut health. Resistant starch is a prebiotic. It feeds beneficial gut bacteria. There is a type of bacteria that is called bifidobacteria or Akkermansia. Those types of bacteria are fed by the resistant starch. Fermentation of resistant starch produces something that is called SCFAs, short chain fatty acids, like I think it's called butyrate, which this type of short chain fatty acids reduces inflammation, it improves colon health, it supports immune system function. So those are good benefits. And lastly, satiety and cravings. This is more of a, like I said earlier, something that is anecdotal. Some people say that they report increased fullness or they report reduced cravings after meals that include cold starches, resistant starches, and you may try it and see what happens. This is the only way to find out. Okay. So I want to give you some practical ways to eat cold starches. You all know that I love cooking. I love making simple meals, and you all know that my friend Shada and I wrote this book, "Live Your Healthiest Life." Okay, it's kind of you can't see it; it's blurry. If you haven't gotten our book, okay, take a look at it. All right, you have really, really good recipes there. But let me give you some ideas so that you can find delicious ways to prepare meals with resistant starch, chilled, cooked, cooked starches. So, what about number one, a cold potato and veggie bowl? This is very easy to make. The base of this meal is boiled or steamed potatoes. I prefer steamed, okay? And they're cooled in the fridge overnight. So you steam the potatoes, they're cooked, you you cool them overnight in the refrigerator. The next day, you add chopped cucumbers and chopped red bell peppers and celery and cherry tomatoes. Then you top it with Dijon mustard or perhaps some lemon juice. I love to do that. Fresh herbs are a win-win. Okay, they will add so much flavor. Dill, parsley. Um, mm, uh, I mean, just, uh, I don't know, lots of different herbs. It could be mint. It could be cilantro. The I like to use the small red potatoes. That's what I like to use. Or the Yukon Gold potatoes because of the texture and flavor when they're cold. So that's a really easy meal. You can take it with you in a container and enjoy something good that has resistant starch. Another example would be brown rice and bean salad. So the basis of this is the brown rice, which is cooked and then is cooled. It is important to cool the rice, pretty soon after it's made, so that we can avoid the creation of some bacteria that is not good. So I love brown basmati rice. I cook it. Maybe I give it maybe half an hour, 20 minutes, and then I cool it. Then what you do the next day, after at least 24 hours, at least 12 hours, 24 hours, you add black beans or corn, chopped red onion, cilantro, and you have sort of a burrito bowl there. And for dressing, you can put lime juice plus some garlic and a splash of apple cider vinegar. And this makes a perfect lunch that is high in fiber, high in water, very filling and satisfying. And you're eating a cold starch. What about cold oatmeal? Well, you can cook steel cut oats or barley if you want to try different things. You chill it overnight, and then in the morning, you add chopped apples, berries, which are my favorite. And then you put some cinnamon and perhaps some ground flaxseed for your omega 3s. And there you have it. You can add some unsweetened almond milk or whatever you prefer. That's a great breakfast that has fiber and resistant starch in it. What else? Well, you have pasta salad. Who doesn't like pasta salad? In the starch solution, pasta is allowed. I would go with whole wheat pasta or with legume based pasta. So your base is the cooked pasta. Then I love to add broccoli and tomatoes, maybe a little bit of black olives and artichokes. But you can add other things. Then for the dressing, you add balsamic vinegar with garlic and herbs. So cold pasta increases resistant starch levels, especially when paired with veggies that are high in fiber. Okay, I'm having my chamomile tea here. Another idea, I'm going to give you two more, is chickpea and sweet potato bowl. These two go great. So the base is the roasted sweet potatoes. When you roast sweet potatoes, they need to be at a pretty high heat, like 425, 450 degrees. And you need to cook them until you see that sugar coming out of them. That's when they're going to be really, really sweet. But you're going to cool them also. Then you can chop them, you could mash them, whatever way you want. You could open them like a baked potato, and you can add roasted chickpeas. You can add arugula, which is a green, or kale, and cucumbers. Then for the dressing, you can add some lemon juice with maybe, I don't know, or some kind of dressing that is water based. Sweet potatoes also form some resistant starch when cooled. And lastly, okay, I'm going to mention cold lentil tabbouleh, which is obviously the cooked brown lentils that are cooled. Then you're going to chop some parsley and mint, and you're going to add it to that, and add tomatoes, cucumbers, and red onion. For seasoning, again, lemon juice or lime juice, black pepper, garlic. Lentils are naturally high. This is important. Lentils are naturally high in resistant starch, even when hot, and even better, obviously, when cold. So let's see here if we have any questions or comments. What about eating rice in fridge by 24 hours? I I have done some studies and research on rice, and I do uh, eat the rice within 24 hours because there is some bacteria that forms after 24 hours that is better to avoid. Okay, so um, if you know some uh, Asian friends, or if any of you here are Asian background, they usually cook the rice for the day, maybe for the next day, but in general. And again, this is what I do. It doesn't mean that I have the final word. What I do is um, I make the rice, and I don't make rice for 3 or 4 days like I used to. I make it for the day and maybe for the next day, and then I make more. What about cooking potatoes and then freezing them until you are ready to eat them? Well, Gloria says that. That is a good question. And since I don't have all the answers to all questions, um, I don't know that because the only time that I have frozen potatoes is as hash browns, and it works. Okay, but Um, I don't know what happens if you like. Freeze a whole potato. Perhaps if you cut them, it would be okay. The only way to find out is by trying. I don't know what the texture is like when you thaw them. That's my only concern, that they might, I mean, I wouldn't eat them if they're slimy, or I don't know, grainy. So I usually I eat a lot of potatoes and sweet potatoes, so they don't last enough to put them in the freezer. I do cook a big batch of potatoes and sweet potatoes on Sundays or Saturdays, and I eat them during the weekend, and then whatever is left over, I put them in the refrigerator, and they may last 2 days, but usually no more than that, so I don't have to freeze them. Okay. I eat a lot of rolled oats, Gail says. Recently, I have heard some experts say oats are bad for your gut. Is that true? Oats are not bad. Okay. Dr. Esselstyn, Dr. McDougall, I mean, a lot of these doctors that are very respectable eat oats. Well, obviously, Dr. McDougall passed away last year, but a lot of doctors, that's what they eat for breakfast, rolled oats. Um, when you have those kind of statements, you have to see where they come from and who is eating them and what they eat with them. There's a lot to see that, but I honestly don't. I don't think that's true. What about freezing rice? Does that, yeah, I think that freezing rice may be okay, but I have to do a little bit more study on that to be able to feel comfortable saying 100% yes. The same thing happens to me personally as it happens with the potatoes and sweet potatoes. I don't usually there are two people here in my house. Sometimes I have guests and family members. So food doesn't last long enough to freeze it. And what I do freeze is beans because I like to make a lot of beans. So I have black beans and I have kidney beans and I have chickpeas and I have things like that that I can freeze. Let me just mention that, let me mention really quickly something that I'm passionate about because it's been 3 years now that I've been doing this. It's what I call the power of us. Is the 7 day reboot and reset program that I run, and this one that I'm starting on Tuesday is number 19th. And I thought I was going to do one only, but it's been so successful that here I am after 3 years continuing to do this because I realize how confusing and how overwhelming and how even lonely this way of eating feels at times. I have been there. I faced the cravings. I have faced the social pressure. I have faced the frustration of not knowing what to eat or how to make it work when life gets really busy and unpredictable. So, after about 12 years of experience and study, I created something that is called the power of us. And it's not just another program, I have to say, but it's what makes this different from other programs is safe, is supportive. It has group support, and it really is a smart reboot. It's 7 days designed by someone who truly gets it and who has struggled, and I still struggle sometimes. So that's how I created. So in this challenge that I call it of 7 days, what I've done is I have put myself in your shoes and I thought of just about every barrier that you could have, like simple meals that require no fancy ingredients and hours in the kitchen. Tools to deal with food addiction and cravings. A lot of us deal with cravings, and so, but there are some really good, strategies and tools to deal with this. Also, I have some very good strategies for eating out, for traveling, for navigating social situations. What else? I have guidance on how to, there are ways that you can accelerate your weight loss if that's what you want to accomplish. So, but the number one thing that I found out in all these years is that we can know a lot of information, we can do everything, just about everything right, but if we don't have support, it gets very difficult sooner or later, because the social pressure and the world out there who's not made for us, who eat this way, sometimes it ends up winning. So it's a community. That's why I call it the power of us, that lifts you up when you really feel like giving up. So um, I'm not about perfection. It's about making progress, creating momentum, and having this feeling of togetherness. And that's why it's called the power of us, because we do this together, and that really changes everything. So, anyway, if you're interested in joining me and a really, really cool group of people starting this Tuesday, August 19th. I would love for you to try it. What I have done to even help everybody a little more is I have taken the fee away. The fee has been $300 for the 7 days, twice a day, with all the handouts and everything perfectly structured. And for this year, you can donate anything. I don't care how much or how little it is, so that you don't have the excuse to succeed, or to fail. So I'm just going to put here, this is the link if you want to take a look at it, and then you can go ahead and register. Actually, I took the time to write a good, concise description of what we do during this week, and it's here on my website. So I'm just going to put that there. And again, I'd love to for you to try it and see that it really, really works. Okay, let's see what any other comments. My son asked me the same oat question. I think the bad oats fall into the processed category, not rolled oats in natural form, but added sugar and salt, etc. What I do, many of you know already because we do this in our 7 day program, I get the oat groats. The oat groat is the oat as it comes pretty much out of the plant. It looks like rice. It's unprocessed. Okay, it's not being cut, it's not being sliced, it's not being smashed or pre-cooked or rolled too many times. Doesn't have any sugar or salt or oil, anything added. Is the most perfect type of whole food. So that type, oat groats, steel cut oats, and really good rolled oats are perfectly safe and healthy. You don't have to worry about it. Just don't add butter to it. Don't add regular milk to it. Just eat them with fruit, or make savory oats like I do, because I like savory oats more than sweet oats. Okay, all right. I highly recommend this program, Cherry says. Have done it several times. Thank you, Cherry. I love doing the program. Does the 7 day program have a shopping list? Yes. So when you sign up, you get the shopping list, the grocery list, and you also get the plan for the 7 days. It goes day one, day two, day three, what we're going to eat, how we're going to eat it. Then you get the recipes, but everything is focused on the simplest of the simplest meals that you can make by putting together some commonly found ingredients. So that's what I want to do. I want to make it simple, so that those of you who don't like to cook or who don't have time to cook can really succeed at this. All right. Any questions about anything else? I'm here for you. I have about 10 more minutes if you'd like to ask anything else.
I was wondering about that 7-day program. Do you have to go shopping every day to get all the ingredients?
You don't. So you just go one, I don't know, well, I don't know, today may be too late, but tomorrow, we start on Tuesday. You go tomorrow, you buy basics. You buy potatoes, sweet potatoes, rice, beans, and some veggies that are non-starchy. And I've already done the orientation session where I really explain, but when you sign up, you get the replay of the orientation session. So you watch that and you're ready to go. It's simple. I think that's what people like, and they keep coming back, and that's why I like to do it over and over because it doesn't take that much time. You do have to go shopping perhaps during that week two times, maybe, depending on if it's just you or if there are other people eating at home. It depends. Okay, but you definitely don't have to go every day for sure. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. If you ever have a topic that you'd like for me to talk about, send me an email and I will consider it. If it's a topic that I don't know enough, I will tell you that I can't do it, or I'll have to research it and talk to some experts or invite an expert. But I will put here my email, which is plantimus@gmail.com. You can always email me there. Sometimes I'm traveling and it may take 2 or 3 days to answer, but most of the times I answer right away. Okay, well, have a wonderful rest of the Sunday, whatever's left of it. And I'll see you in my next webinar or on Tuesday. Bye bye.